Watch this.
Coming up on the 208, the 2023 legislative session hasn't even started yet, but we are diving into the political back and forth. The topic this week, committee assignments, being fair or not. We are gearing up for 7 Cares Idaho Shares. Ahead of tomorrow's big event, we explain how your generous donations of cash and food help Idahoans across our state. And we're digging into the archives for some vintage gift ideas. And no, not for the people in your life. We're talking pets. Happy Friday, so glad you're with us. We haven't kicked off the 2023 legislative session yet. We're still in the year 2022, but no worries. We still have our first public legislative disagreement for essentially the 2023 session. The newly elected Speaker of the Idaho House of Representatives, Republican Representative Mike Moyle, he finished the House committee assignments this past week, and most notably, he made the decision to remove a Democratic seat from the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee. That's called JFAC. Now, Speaker Moyle awarded 9 of the 10 total JFAC seats to Republicans. He's allowed to do so. The minority party, well, they previously held 2 seats instead of just 1. Idaho Democrats are speaking out, saying that the move is unfair, and Democrats hold 11 of the 70 total seats in the Idaho House. And so if you do the math, that works out to 15.7% representation in the House. And with only 10 House seats on JFAC, Speaker Moyle can't achieve perfect proportional representation. The numbers just don't work. Now, Speaker Moyle had basically 2 options. He can either round up to 2 seats, which would then be 20% representation on JFAC for the Dems, or he could round down to 1 seat, as he did, which is only 10% representation, less than that 15% number that the Dems have overall in the House. Now, the Speaker chose the latter, as we learned, but House Minority Leader Alana Rubel explained her concerns with the decision to us this week.
We are deeply committed to the vital services that people need, whether it be, home visiting for the elderly, whether it be the foster care system, whether it be care for those with disabilities. We fight to make sure those budgets are adequate in a way that very often our Republican colleagues do not. And so the people who count on those services, I think, will suffer as a result.
So we heard from the Idaho Democrats. What do Idaho Republicans think? Well, great. Our Doug Petcash actually spoke with Speaker Moyle and Senate Pro Tem Republican Chuck Winder over in the Senate on this week's Viewpoint program. And Moyle explains his rationale and thought process behind the decision. Meanwhile, Pro Tem Winder also tells us that he believes this move is not out of the ordinary.
For over 20 years that I can think of, the Democrats have been overrepresented on that committee. And with the new folks, I felt like it was a time to give some other people an opportunity. The minority party is still overrepresented as a whole on all the committees in the House. And I thought if they were going to be overrepresented, I thought it was time that maybe some other people had a chance to serve there. Just a way to break things up and give other people an opportunity, especially with the new guys. And if you look at our appropriation committee, they're all new, but what, 2? 1 had been there before. So there's a learning curve again, and it's an opportunity for everybody to be involved.
And we actually did that a few years ago when there were only 6 Democratic senators. We actually reduced the participation on some committees, and it's basically based on the ratio.
So to learn more about that conversation, you can join us this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for Viewpoint with Doug Petcash. And Doug is diving in depth with the new Speaker of the House, Mr. Moyle, and Pro Tem Winder. They're talking the big topics heading into the new legislative session that kicks off in January. Again, you can catch Viewpoint Sunday morning right here on KTVB. Well, for dozens of years, the Boise Bicycle Project has been playing Kris Kringle to the thousands of kids in the Treasure Valley. Their goal, making sure that every kid has a bicycle of their own. And when they started their Adopt a Dream bike campaign in 2011, they had 63 kids for the bikes. And, thanks to the success and the word of mouth of the campaign, that wish list has jumped to 575 in year 12. Big increase. And at first, they were struggling to fulfill all those requests. But thanks to our generous community, they've succeeded in making sure that all the kids that requested needing a bike, they're going to get one. And the Boise Bicycle Project put out a call for bikes for the Dream Bike giveaway. They were 200 bikes short. So here's an update from Jimmy Halliburton with the Boise Bicycle Project.
Looks like when the community comes together. Benton, our volunteer manager, assigning bicycles. The post that we put out yesterday got shared almost 1,000 times in less than 24 hours, and then we were on all sorts of news stations. We've probably gotten 200, maybe 300 bicycles donated already. We still need them, so still bring in those gently used bikes, but this is what it looks like when the community comes together.
So yeah, one of those news stations was here, KTVB. So thank you, the viewers at home, for seeing the story and answering the call. And the Boise Bicycle Project, the Boise Bike Project, well, they're still looking for shop volunteers. So if you'd like to find out more about that, you can check out a link on their website.
Well, you know, the initial year, we just were so excited to be able to give away 30,000 pounds of chicken to the food bank and the rescue mission, Salvation Army. In the second year, we said, well, why don't we just see how many people will come down and bring truckloads and truckloads of food down on their own. And so we started to invite people, and it was at the television station, and we got overwhelmed with the number of people that were driving by. And the police department wasn't quite ready for it, and we had traffic jams in front of the television station. And so eventually we moved it down to Boise State University because we just had so many people desiring to come and donate and to help out.
That's retired KTVB General Manager Doug Armstrong, who helped spearhead 7 Cares Idaho Shares with just a Tyson Food semi-truck in the Channel 7 parking lot years ago. Since then, though, the event has grown to help numerous charitable organizations and countless Idahoans over the years. And 7 Cares is happening again this Saturday, tomorrow, and we'll be at a lot of locations across the Treasure and Magic Valleys. And for the last 14 years, our community as a whole, listen to this, you at home have donated nearly $4 million in more than 1.7 million pounds of food, and that's about 11 million meals for those in need. And we're back for year 15. So what do you need to know? I know that during COVID it was a little bit differently, but we're back out in the community, full-fledged 7 Cares. So here's what you need to know. Everything you donate, whether it's food or money, it will go to one of the 9 local charities you see on your screen. So every dime, every pound of food, every ounce of anything that you donate, it stays right here in the state of Idaho. Treasure and Magic Valleys helping the Idahoans that need it the most. So you can take a look. These are great organizations working every day in our community. And you know, if you can't join us on Saturday, but you'd still like to be a part of it, we've worked with our team to make this as easy as possible. You can scan this QR code that we'll leave up on your screen here for a moment, and this link will actually take you directly to the 7 Cares website where you can make a donation. If this link isn't something you're interested in, maybe your old school website, no problem. You can just go to our website, ktvb.com. There we have a comprehensive guide on where you can donate and where your donations go. And no donation is too small. I know that sometimes we'll talk with people in the community. They say, you know, I want to give just a little bit, or I can only give just a little bit. Does that make a difference? Yes, every dollar counts, and something that you're going to hear for the next few days. For every dollar donated, the Idaho Food Bank can create up to 4 meals. So, I mean, with even just $1, they can do a lot of good for our community. And one of the charitable organizations that does benefit from 7 Cares, Idaho Shares, is the Salvation Army across the state. And this time of year is critical for nonprofits to help provide meals, supplies, gifts, and services for communities they serve, the people that need it most. And earlier this week, Andrew Bartline talked with Major Thomas Strambaugh about how the Red Kettle campaign from the Salvation Army, how it gives back to our community.
It's not the warmest time of the year to be hanging out in a Walmart parking lot. But Mark Colley,
Pretty well.
he wants to be here with his bell and his kettle, all to collect some coins.
That's why I had to put my sunglasses back on. How else can I be a star?
The money doesn't do anything to help Mark directly,
Be safe, be safe.
but the cause helps Mark know why he does this, now for the 2nd straight year.
There's just more programs that need funding than I could ever go into.
Programs that the Salvation Army says are a necessity.
In the last year and a half, we're really, our focus is shifting to helping working families in our community that are struggling with the rising prices of cost of living, with rent, gas, utilities, food. And so the Salvation Army could be there to help them get over this hurdle.
Major Thomas Strambaugh says those hurdles are becoming more common. And in Ada County alone, the Salvation Army is helping more than 200 new families each month.
So these are the things that are hitting working families in our community. And so we are listening to those concerns, and our staff are working hard to make sure we can provide the best assistance we can for them.
The Red Kettle makes this assistance possible.
$170,000 to $200,000 is our kettle goal.
And as it currently stands, the Red Kettle's behind $10,000.
The impact is, well, in the new year we'll have to do like most businesses will do, is sit in front of their budget and see how we can rework some things and still provide service, but maybe not to the capacity that we'd like to, and see how we could address those needs.
But the Salvation Army isn't giving up quite yet.
No.
Those red kettles are out till Christmas Eve.
Some people don't realize is the money stays in the city and the county of wherever we happen to be working.
And if needed, those bells will get a few extra rings.
I'm supposed to take breaks. I take sometimes. So they get extra time from me, so I don't mind.
Is there anything you want to touch
Well, that's one of the sounds of the holiday season, the ringing of the bells. And 24 different storefront locations have openings for volunteers, which really puts into perspective the widespread need for people to ring that bell and to generate the money that the community needs. And if you'd like to volunteer, you can head to this story on our website, KTVB.com. Well, we saw some snow overnight into this morning, and meteorologist Sophia Bliss joins us. Sophia, about 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, yes, I was up. I saw these giant flakes. They were huge. They looked like heavy, wet snow. More of that to come?
Yeah, so definitely. By the way, Joe, the big flakes is when there's freezing and melting going on in the atmosphere on those snowflakes. So it's actually multiple snowflakes, lots of snowflakes all melted together, and that's how we get those big pancake-looking flakes. So that definitely means there was some melting going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but it was still cold enough for that snow to fall as snow. So now moving ahead to another little, we're going to dig into the forecast a little bit, some of the intricacies. That's a pun, and you'll understand why in just a second. So I'm going to just set up what we're looking at. So this is the second of two systems that we're going to see that it's also starting overnight. This round we're expecting to be stronger, and it could make for some certainly tricky travel for those mountain areas. We're going to see the moderate snowfall and blowing winds, so definitely could make for some trouble spots there. Okay, now we're going to see why this storm is expected to be stronger. And there's something that we can point out as meteorologists, something that you'll see right away where you look at and you go, okay, this is definitely going to be stronger than the previous system. It all has to do with this low pressure center. And you saw in that animation that low pressure dropped really quickly, right? That's called a digging trough. So when you can see that the low pressure is going to dig down like that, that's how you know it's going to be a little bit more powerful. There's also a lifting trough where you could see the low pressure go more north instead of digging down like that. So you can think of it kind of like if you're going on a roller coaster, right? And you go down the roller coaster, you feel all that momentum, and then as you go back up, you feel that exit velocity, right? So in a digging trough, there's more exit velocity, so a little bit more power or punch to the system. So that's one of the ways that we can tell that this system is going to be stronger. So how does that show up for us? This system, we're looking at higher snow totals and also some breezy and windy conditions at times. So that exit area of that low pressure center is going to be where we'll see the strongest weather happen, higher snow totals, more wind. And so that's what we're looking at in this next 24 hours, another stronger system. And also on the backside of that low pressure is some very cold air. So here as what we're expecting for some of those temperatures to do, I think we dropped down in the 20s a little bit earlier than that, but definitely cold temperatures ahead. It's like the opposite end of that roller coaster where it's dropping all the way down. So since I don't have any more warm temperatures for you, since we're not warming up and we're just cooling down as we go towards Christmas, I want to leave you with this beautiful view from the Sun Valley area.
That is perfect. And Sophia, thank you so much for explaining why the weather works the way it does. It's interesting to see on the maps because it's the same maps we see and we see very similar things. So understanding how that low pressure, that trough you talked about coming from the northwest, powerful system coming in. Sophia, always a great interactive forecast. We'll check in with you next time. Thank you. Well, locally here, there's some things that you'll probably recognize about the state of Idaho and the Treasure Valley. Of course, the blue field of Boise State that always draws all kinds of attention. It's the Broncos' home turf where Garth Brooks rocked out twice, and it's also the host of the famous Idaho Potato Bowl coming up in a few weeks. And the latter was a question on Jeopardy under the category of college football bowl biz. Take a look.
Football 600.
The 2021 famous Idaho Potato Bowl got served up in this state capital. Tammy?
What is Boise?
Of course.
Okay, I'm going to give Tammy credit here. She got it right. Good job. But that's like, come on, that's one of the easiest questions out there, right? So yes, it's correct right here in the City of Trees, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl coming up Tuesday, December 20th. Bring the whole family. Should be a fun time. The San Jose State Spartans will take on the Eastern Michigan Eagles, 1:30 Mountain Time, and the game is on ESPN if you can't make it. Tickets are available, and if you are a potato fan, there are plenty of opportunities to get your spud fix before the game. Yes, we're talking free French fries, but you'll have to show up to find out more.
past the halfway point with 7 months to go. And that means in order to push through that goal of 500,000 star cards, the DMV is going to have to process 1,389. Let me write that down for you. 1,389 a day right there with just 149 days left to do it.
2020, those were the days, right? And that's when we were so concerned with Idahoans getting their star card that we were doing a monthly countdown of how many star cards had to be issued in order for ITD, Idaho Transportation Department, to meet their goal of 500,000 by the 1st of October of 2020. Again, that was early March 2020, 10 days before the COVID pandemic hit, by the way. So you can see why our concerns pivoted. StarCard, COVID, very different things. And our countdown, it stopped descending. More important things came out. But also, it was the pandemic and all its closures and social distancing that helped push that deadline back a bit. But today, we've learned that StarCard delay, the Real ID Act, it's going to be pushed back nearly a decade. That's because Congress decided that they wanted a more secure form of identification after what happened with the 9/11 terrorist attack. So they passed the Real ID Act back in 2005, setting the original deadline for everyone to have the star card, named for the special star in the upper right-hand corner. Well, that original deadline was 2016. And that was delayed for a variety of reasons. So they kicked the star card can down the road to October 2020, then another kick, October 21, and then what is this? A big old kick now to May of 2023. And now one more swift kick of the can all the way down the road. You can see there, May 2025. So if you haven't gotten one yet, don't consider your can will be kicked. Not everyone needs one, but if you do plan to fly or go into a federal building anytime after May 7th, 2025, it'll certainly make it easier. So yeah, go get the star card. And Richard in Meridian asked if new drivers or high school drivers are automatically given star cards. That's a good question. Well, we reached out to the Idaho Transportation Department. We have not heard back yet. However, according to the Idaho Transportation Department's website, the star card is not mandatory and is a choice when applying for identification. And if you choose not to get a star card, you can also use a United States passport or another federally approved document to board an airplane or access a military base. And you will still be able to drive after May 7, 2025 without the star card. All right, elves, here's your reminder. Christmas is just 15 days away, a little less than 2 weeks. And while you're out shopping or scrolling online, make sure that you don't forget the one member of your family who might be the most deserving, your pet. In today's 208 Read Dial, John Miller found lots of creative gifts ideas and plenty of time for a very canine Christmas. Let's go to the year 2000.
Oh, it's a crazy Christmas this season.
From Petco to PetSmart to the all-pet complex. Bark once if you love Christmas.
We have our wiggly giggly balls.
This could lead to dog psychosis.
Pure insanity.
Christy John says it's a great way to get your canine Christmas rolling. So how are these things selling?
Like hotcakes.
Or cow ears. Here's a gift that sounds good. The holiday way to keep your dog fed. Well, visions of pig snouts dance in her head. Seriously.
This is always a favorite, just by a nose. Is it almost ridiculous how much people spend on their pets during the holidays?
Oh, it's incredible.
Why?
Just all the new crazy gifts out there.
Here we go, Ben. Come on.
Michael Faircloth swears it's very important.
Especially the dogs.
Why?
Because they like to raid the presents under the trees. Too many temptations.
But these are some ideas to chew on. No matter how you feel about the president, we're sure your dog will eat him up. Also, big this year, sports gear for sports dogs.
It's got the nice little rope on it for that nice long toss.
And if you want to score big points with your pup, check out this parka.
Very popular this time of the year.
Things even pleated. It's not quite pig ears, but our favorite, paws down, is for the cat.
Oh, dude, catnip bubbles.
So don't forget the pet this Christmas. Break out the funny bubbles and fire up that giggly ball.
That's right, what a holiday, huh?
John Miller, Idaho's News Channel 7.
All right, anything can happen now. It's viewer question time. Let's get to the Comment-tron 7000 here. Hashtag the 208. Does it cost extra getting the Star Card? Another form of taxation. That's from Keith. Keith, no, it doesn't. It takes extra documents, but not extra dollars. So there you go. All right, this person says, when you think about the best of Boise, the Boise Bicycle Project near the top of the list, hashtag the 208. Yeah. Boise Bicycle Project doing great stuff in our community. This person also saying, yep, they donated 2 bikes. Thank you so much for donating after seeing the story here. That's from Brian. And finally here to wrap up the week, what time does Idaho Care start tomorrow at Boise State? All right, 8 o'clock is the kickoff. We will be across the Treasure Valley and Magic Valley, 8 o'clock on. So we will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening. Tomorrow is 7 Cares.